Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurant.
Looks over the middle, second guesses, fires, throws. Does he make the catch in the end zone? Yes! Touchdown! Oladipo to win it.
Another one!
Another one!
Another one! Huge hole! He's at the 30! He's gonna go! 10, 5, touchdown! Jonathan Taylor!
Galloway finds Rob Finnessy, who fires the three and
He hit it!
Now, from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, here's your host, Jim Coyle.
Hello, everybody. Welcome aboard as we set to end the week here at Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Thanks a lot for joining us. We appreciate you. Looking forward to another great show. We're going to hear from Jalen Hudsofino. Looking forward to that. I had the opportunity to talk to him and his mom last weekend. The snow is falling still. I look out the windows of the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, and it's coming down as heavy as it did at any point yesterday. And I think we already have a foot of snow here now, just by looking out the studio windows. I haven't ran out there and shoved a tape measure down in there, but I could pretty much tell that last night. I'm like, wow, that's like, looks like about 10 inches. And it is not, it slowed down last night, but I look out the windows right now and it is just coming on. The streets have been cleared pretty well, but I'm further out. It's different for different parts around the state of Indiana, down in southern Indiana, northern Indiana. Ice probably down there. Indiana has a game tomorrow at noon. I don't think there should be much of an impact there by that time. The Indiana's women team had a game last night. That game was for essential personnel only. Whoever that involved definitely wasn't me, because I wasn't going anywhere. We ran up to the I did go to the clubhouse last night here, and an impromptu poker game broke out. Everyone had to walk up there. It was kind of funny. So the only thing to do. So happy Friday. Forrest has jumped on already. Michael, Jason, David, appreciate you guys. Munster, Indiana. Hey, David. Man, appreciate you. Speaking of Munster, I know that's up north. Good golly. Wonder how much snow you guys have gotten, received. I didn't think we were going to end up getting this much. I'm going to be honest with you. The forecast was, I think, 6 to 8. I'm like, we'll probably get a little less than that. Man, we've gotten substantially more. It's the biggest snowfall I have seen in a long time. And it's so ironic. There was just an article in the Star this week, the Indy Star, talking about that we're in a snow drought. We don't see these snowfalls anymore. Not like this. So, but it's here. That means a lot of, they got about, well, that's surprised, David, because we've gotten close to that here. I'm down by the lake. Must be lake effect snow. Just kidding. Hope you guys are off to a good day. Indiana's a game tomorrow against Illinois, which is looking to be a major Big Ten game. And I was watching some stuff on BTN yesterday and talking about how Xavier Johnson's the guy that really is the key point on Indiana's growth from here out. And that's the truth. As he has gone, Indiana's results have been better. He has just become so consistent as a point guard. He can give you 19 points one night or 9 another night, but he's always giving you something. The Arizona UCLA game last night. I only got to see the last 5 minutes of that. UCLA had been down by as much as 17 points. They get it back close. but just can't quite get over the hump. Where's these final scores at, as a matter of fact? The number 3 UCLA Bruins and Arizona. Arizona's bumping up. That was the first win for Arizona over UCLA at home in like 6 years or something. But they're trying to bump up to a number 1 seed. Looks like there was an incident out there. UCLA freshman forward Mac Etienne was arrested and cited with assault after allegedly spitting on an Arizona fan at the conclusion of the basketball game. I missed that. I'd put it away. The incident occurred in the aftermath of the Arizona. That must be what you're talking about, man. I missed that. In the aftermath of Arizona's 76-66 home win over the Bruins at their McHale Center, Etienne, who didn't even play due to injury, exchanged words with someone in the Arizona student section as he walked to the tunnel with his teammates. He then appeared to spit into the stands. A security staffer then grabbed him and directed him into the tunnel. Video from the stands documented the incident. Yeah, it's not a good look. The spitting thing, to me, it's just a gutless. That's one of the more gutless things you could do. I mean, it would take a special circumstance where I'd be okay with that. But Sergeant Sean Shields of the University of Arizona Police told ESPN that officers arrested Etienne and cited him for assault with the intent to injure, provoke, or insult. He was allowed to join his teammates in the visiting locker room and leave the arena with his team. It wasn't immediately clear what sort of legal consequences Etienne might face. Wow. UCLA addressed the incident in a statement from spokesman Scott Markley. UC Athletics is committed to and expects the highest level of sportsmanship. We are aware of the incident involving a student athlete. Etienne's a 4-star recruit, just enrolled midway through the year. That's not a good look. But, oh well. Big win for Arizona. You know, Arizona's coach, he came down from Gonzaga. They're doing quite well. Indiana has the opportunity to get themselves that kind of a win on Saturday. Looking forward to talking to Alec Lasley today from thehoosier.com about that. We're also going to hear from Jalen Hudsofino, like I said, Angel Hudsofino as well, his mom. John, when's the best time for us to listen to Jalen?
If you want to do them now, you can.
Well, I understand when. I can do it whenever I want. That's not. But
right now we don't have a guest. We have Alec coming up next, possibly for 2 segments, and then we'll have Zach
we'll get back to laying it all out again. But I wonder what's next for those guys down. What tournaments do they get to play in as far as a national tournament? Because I know they have those national championship banners. I have not researched that. What do they play in as far as their year-end tournament? Because they generally don't play, your typical high schools. Obviously, they're too damn good. More ice than snow in Corded, Jason said. Yeah, I believe that. Forrest was the head wrestling coach at Highland, so he's having a great conversation with Jason from up north. Man, is Rob healthy for tomorrow? That is a question that I don't have the answer to from Indiana, but I would, if I were to guess from someone who has had plantar fasciitis, I don't think so, but that has not come from Indiana. So I've learned that as far as injuries, you got to let them tell you. I'm not planning on Rob Finney playing. I wouldn't plan on Rob Finney playing if I were a fan. I think that they're going to try to get him as healed as well as possible with this, because this just freaking hurts. But it's hard to get over something like that quick. But he's got a great staff that does nothing but work on that. I didn't have a staff working on my plantar fasciitis deal back when I had it. So he's getting the best care. So he will be able to come back probably sooner than most. When? I can't answer that. Until Indiana says, yeah, he's playing. That's when we'll know. So looking forward to that. Looking forward to this game, honestly. It will be another opportunity for Indiana to show how much they've grown up. They have some weapons that should give Illinois problems. Illinois obviously is Kofi Coburn. He's a beast. Indiana's got Trace and Race and Xavier Johnson. Now, Illinois is not hurting in the guard department either. But their guards, I think it was last game out, Fraser and I forget his other name, but they went like 4 of 21 from behind the three. Indiana's perimeter defense is going to be extremely important. You're not going to stop Kofi Coburn. You can hope to contain him, is what I would say. Forrest said the way Woodson spoke on his radio show Monday made it seem like next week, possibly. And I think that would be, in regards to Rob Fennessy's return, I would think that would probably be a little more closer to accurate. Will Leo get more minutes? No idea. And Klander match the guard play. Again, we'll find out. One of the things with Christian, his play has been, the last game, his play was fine. Defense, you keep hearing, he had 4 fouls in 10 minutes. So that's where he's still learning the game, the speed of the game. He damn near fouled out in 10 minutes of play. So it's just learning. It's learning. He hasn't had the reps yet. He's getting more reps all the time, but you just can't force Plummer. Yeah. There you go. Thanks, Tom. But yeah, they did not shoot the ball well. If Illinois is not shooting the ball well, it doesn't matter much what Kofi Coburn's doing unless he's scoring 60 points in a game. So playing perimeter defense, playing solid defense is all it takes. Indiana has done that all year long. And they have to continue to do that tomorrow. Just play the type of defense they played all year, which leads the Big Ten, by the way. Will Durr play tomorrow? Another question. Don't have the answer because I don't know why he's not been playing. There has not been a word mentioned of any injury. The first time he didn't play was simply listed as coach's decision, or that wasn't listed. Mike said that. Don't know if there's a doghouse situation going. I don't know. But there's always a reason someone's not playing. It doesn't matter. It's always because they're in trouble or something. But there's always a reason. If they don't, I don't generally question. Because it doesn't really matter. It happened, so it's irrelevant after the fact. He's been dressed on the bench. Well, there you go. So from Ed, that lends itself obviously to say he's got a little ding. They don't like to talk about injuries. at all. Another question, and this doesn't surprise me. Jeremy Gray will be on the PA at this Assembly Hall. Jeremy I cannot remember. I'd have to look up his exact title, but he's over the media relations department and things like that. So, which they're not going to have someone hired and in place by this season, I don't think. Not with 4 games left. So why do that? So this makes perfect sense. Not surprised at all there that we'll hear Jeremy. I wonder if he will announce on the starting lineups sophomore. I wonder if it'll be sophomore still. We've got to take a quick break. When we come back, Alec Lasley's going to join us. We're going to hear from Jalen Hudsofino later. We've got it all coming to you. Stick around. Indiana Sports Beat Radio back with plenty more from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, brought to you by our friends at Southern Stone Restaurant, located at Patterson and Rogers, where each Monday night at 7:05 you can find Don Fisher and Coach Mike Whitson for Inside Indiana Basketball. We're back with more right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurant.
Whether it's a celebration.
Hey, in regards to the Jalen Hudsofino clips, I would use them during one of your segments here with Alec, because other than that, I don't know when else you would use them.
So we don't have any other open segments?
Unless Alec only goes one segment. Because you'll have Zach at 9:30 and Jeffrey at 9:50. And Jeff usually stays till the end. Oh, you're muted,
Can't
Alec.
hear you, Alec.
Yep. Whatever you need. If you want to use them, obviously up to you, whatever you want to do.
Oh, we're going to use them.
I tried to get him to use them during the first segment, and then.
Well, I didn't know that was the only blank segment. I should have. I was letting the audience grow.
Oh, you see Ed's message over on the right?
What did it say?
For Jim for IUP.
Yeah, I've had a couple people. I said, I'm pretty sure IU's not going to give me a look.
Sophomore.
Oh, I can do it, baby. Tonight, your Indiana starting lineup from Chesterton, Indiana, 6'1" sophomore, number 14, Alec Lasley.
Here's the thing, though. No matter who the replacement ends up being, or Jeremy Gray or whoever, if any of them honestly tries to say sophomore, the very first time they do, everybody's going to cringe because they're going to think they're doing it just because of Chuck Crab.
I'd say it, and I would say it just because of Chuck Crab. I'd say it in honor of Chuck Crab.
I think that's a good reason. But you have to be able to do it gracefully.
I'd say it just like I did just now.
Like, end of the game, Gray's voice, but if he just has
end of the game for Indiana, number 22, a 6'6" sophomore, Jordan Geronimo.
Has he ever said why he says it like that?
Not that I've heard. I think that's just how he.
I think. Didn't Bob Knight say that? I think Bob Knight might have said it like that. I don't know though. No, he did not. He said sophomore.
I've seen a video of Chuck doing wedding intros or some sort of intros for.
Are you serious?
They asked him.
It's kind of the coolest one. I remember as a kid, one of my best friends is growing up repeating it like that, doing it.
10 seconds.
Sophomore.
All right, here we go.
If we're not on a station where you live, we should be. Ask for Indiana Sports Beat Radio. This segment is brought to you by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurant.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Speed Radio, coming to you on this Snowfield Friday from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Alec Lasley joining now from thehoosier.com. How are you, sir?
Good. How you doing?
Great. Lots going on to talk about is for Indiana basketball. Obviously, tomorrow they take on Illinois, number 16 Illinois at home in Bloomington, Indiana, which will be it's a big game. For Indiana, it is a game that to me moves them a seed line on the bracket. If anyone's bracketology, that's not just because if they were to win that game, but you will couple that with the win over Purdue, the win over Ohio State, the fact that everyone knows they had them by 22 at Wisconsin, blowing the lead. It sucks, but I think anyone with enough basketball sense knows that, all right, they weren't grown up enough. They were just too damn immature yet. But they've grown since then. They've changed since then. This win would solidify that. And they get Wisconsin again. As a matter of fact, like everyone that is in front of them in the Big Ten standings, which I think are 5 teams, they have a game against yet before this season ends. 3 of them, or two of them at home, and 3 on the road, or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously it starts with tomorrow. I think everyone this is probably one of the games that they've circled on their calendars at the start of the year, outside of Purdue, as one that Indiana fans thought they would need to have, especially at this point in the season to kind of not only make the NCAA tournament, but obviously kind of cement themselves in the NCAA tournament. I don't think a lot of people thought they may start out with 7 conference wins already at this point. So this is more so for, like you said, more for seeding than it is to really cement themselves in the tournament. But regardless, it's a huge game for Indiana, and it's one that Indiana has a really, really good shot of winning. They play a very similar style of basketball, Illinois does, to Purdue, with obviously the big guys, and then they have some guards who can shoot it from the outside. But it's going to come down to if Trayce Jackson-Davis and Michael Dorr play at the same level that they can play together. We saw Michael Dorr obviously step up against Purdue when Trayce Jackson-Davis was out. Obviously, Trayce Jackson-Davis can't get in foul trouble as early as he did against Purdue and expect the same result to happen. I think Illinois just has a few more playmakers with the ball than Purdue does.
Kofi Coburn is such a different animal than, say, Zach Edey. Zach Edey, I think that he's still unathletic enough that you can affect him. Kofi's a little beast, not a little beast. He's a big beast.
Yeah, the only difference is obviously when you take Kofi out of the game, they take a significant step down with either Payne or whatever other big man that they actually throw out there on the floor. It's not a Travion Williams or anything like that. The whole front court for Purdue is a different type of animal. Obviously, Kofi does a tremendous job in himself, averaging like 22 and 12 right now. And he's going to be a difficult task. And obviously we'll talk to Mike Woodson a little bit later on today to hear exactly kind of what he's going to do scheme wise and what they're going to do to try to slow down Kofi Coburn. But Trayce Jackson-Davis said they're going to have to throw a lot of bodies at him, and that's what they're going to have to do. But it's going to be another big game for Michael Dorr if he can step up and play like he did against Purdue.
Yeah. Also, I mentioned a little bit ago, guarding the perimeter 3-point shot. Fraser and Plummer, last game out, they were not good. They were, I think, a combined 4 of 17 for Illinois. And Illinois is not a team that can be devoid of perimeter shooting and only count on Coburn. There's not a lot of games where there's enough teams in the league in the Big Ten that they'll beat Illinois if it's just Kofi Coburn. I think Illinois is Indiana is one of those teams that if they're able to slow their guards down and not allow them to shoot, that Kofi Coburn alone is not going to beat Indiana.
Yeah, well, absolutely. And I think the biggest thing is which Andre Curbelo is Illinois going to get. Obviously, we've seen him at times be, sensational with the ball. We've also seen him at times be really turnover prone. And he's been coming off the bench a lot for Illinois, dealing with a lot of injury issues and COVID issues this season. So he really hasn't been able to get into a groove, still averaging nearly 5 assists a game. Turnovers are a little bit down just because he hasn't played as many minutes as he would have at this point last season. But Trent Fraser's done a tremendous job kind of substituting in for Curbelo a lot at the point guard position, averaging nearly 4 assists a game. And it's really allowed him to kind of take a step back from that main scoring role that a lot of people thought he would have to have this season. His shooting percentage is up slightly from last year, shooting a solid kind of decent percent from three, even though he takes a lot throughout the game. But his playmaking with the ball in his hands, kind of getting into the paint, breaking down his defender, and then finding either Grandison or Alfonso Plummer out on the perimeter has really kind of elevated Illinois to a different level. And I think the emergence of Plummer this season, which has been one of the best pickups, I think, around the country through the transfer portal, has really allowed Trent Fraser to kind of have a much different role, that he's a lot more comfortable with, and not one where you expect him to have 15 to 20 a night, because he's not going to get you that over the course of his career. He's been, anywhere from 9 to 12 a night, which is great. But now you allow him to kind of play with the ball in his hands and be more of a playmaker for his teammates, which I think suits him better and suits this Illinois team better.
The one good thing that, and you kind of mentioned that Illinois does not have, they don't have, I don't know if what it is, if they don't have a Race Thompson. Race is becoming a much more rounded offensive player that, if that continues, will continue to be scarier for Big Ten defenses. As I don't want to act like he has become this prolific 3-point shooter, because he has not, but he has raised his percentage. He's shooting 23% right now. For the as deep of a hole he was in, that's pretty damn good. But the sheer fact that they have to respect that now. And Illinois has to, whomever they're playing, has to respect that. Opens up the middle. It's going to change things for this Indiana offense.
Yeah, absolutely. And going back to the big missing piece for Illinois that they had last year, who kind of played that Race Thompson role, was Damonte Williams. Shot about 46% from three, played kind of that stretch 4 role. Super undersized, about 6'6", more like kind of a PJ Tucker, who has spent numerous years in the NBA, kind of playing that undersized stretch 4, who is really tough defensively. But he's had a really bad year this year, only shooting about 30% from the perimeter, only averaging about 4 points a game, playing 31 minutes. So it's a struggle when you look at what Illinois is trying to do with him, because he was that guy last year. It'll be interesting to see kind of how he matches up with Indiana tomorrow, because I think that's a really good matchup for both sides there on both ends of the ball. But yeah, the way Race Thompson's been able to stretch the floor here as of late, shooting 63% over the last 3 games from three. Obviously, I don't think Indiana fans expect him to shoot that percentage moving forward, and he doesn't have to. As long as he shoots right around that kind of 33, 34% mark, which when you look at his misses this year, they haven't been bad misses. He hasn't forced a lot. He's been pretty open when he's taken those threes. It's just, for the most part, they've just missed. They've just been off a little bit. But the stroke has always looked good. It seems like he's always had the confidence in at least taking at least one a game when he has some of that available room. Now they're just dropping. And I think with him, it's just continued confidence from the coaching staff, which we heard post-game against Maryland. Just the sheer fact that this coaching staff and these players are confident that when he shoots the ball, it's going to go in, or they have confidence in him to make every other, or at least to keep shooting the ball. And that's something that I don't think you saw with Race Thompson over the last few years. But it's something that is just going to continue to expand this Indiana offense and allow them to play a lot more outside in a way that I think is somewhat better for them. We saw it against Purdue, obviously much different type of team with the big men that they have. But I think at times Indiana just relies way too much on Trace Jackson Davis to make a move on the post, and the rest of their offense tends to stand and be stagnant. And when they run it more from the guards in and from the perimeter players in, it allows Trace Jackson Davis to kind of get a little bit more movement inside the paint. And that's when you see a lot of those dump off passes from Xavier Johnson or Rob Finney or Trey Galloway that allow for easy dunks and easy putbacks, even if they are just misses at the rim.
A great point here by Real Doc Bob. Illinois is second in offensive rebounds in Big Ten games. Indiana 11th. Need to not give them all these second chance opportunities because a game like this is probably going to be tight and you're going to need every opportunity yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, that's the biggest thing with Illinois. Right? If they're making shots, they're going to be a tough team to beat regardless. But the fact that even if they do miss, they're still a tremendous offensive rebounding team. A lot of it has to do with Kofi Coburn. But for the most part, overall, a lot of their guards do rebound the ball at a decent level. Obviously, Curbelo is super crafty in there. Like I talked about earlier, Damonte Williams does do a solid job rebounding the ball. And then you have Jacob Grandison, who I think could mold into that Race Thompson role. Plays that stretch four right now, kind of long three. They tend to play a lot more of those hybrid forwards. But it's going to come down to if the guards of Indiana are going to be able to rebound the ball. Obviously, we know Trace Jackson Davis is, Race Thompson will, Jordan Geronimo will when he's in the game. But you need Xavier Johnson. You need any sort of guard who's in the game or perimeter player for Indiana to be able to rebound the ball, just due to the fact that Illinois has 5 or 6 guys who can crash the boards and do it at a high rate.
How important is Trey Galloway going to be in this game? I don't want to jump over Christian Lander. He's going to be obviously playing minutes. Last game, 4 personal fouls in 10 minutes. So he's got to be careful. Obviously, the speed is still something. Speed of the game is something he's getting used to. But if that's the case, they're going to have to have someone else with the ball in their hands. And I assume that's probably going to be someone like Trey Galloway. If it's not, when it's not Xavier Johnson.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think moving forward, no matter what the matchup is, Trey Galloway is an extremely important piece to this team, with or without Rob Finney on the floor. But even more so with him, missing time here for the injury. The big thing with Christian Lander is I'm a little bit worried if he does get in this game, the speed of Andre Curbelo, the defensive pressure that he likes to bring to the floor, especially if he is coming off of the bench, I think could be worrisome for Indiana and Christian Lander. He still struggles with quick point guards who like to speed you up. And that's where he gets a little bit out of sync. He likes to throw the ball away at times. You see him attacking a little bit too deep just to try to get past the pressure into the paint. And I think that's one thing that Trey Galloway, while he does do that sometimes in attacking a little bit too deep, he still knows what he's going to do when he gets there. And you'd much rather have a miss than a turnover because of the fact that you have Race Thompson and Trace Jackson Davis right there for rebound putbacks. And that's one thing that I think you're going to see, why you're going to see Trey Galloway a little bit more than you probably would Christian Lander, just due to the fact that Andre Curbelo really likes to get up into opposing point guards. And I just don't know if Mike Woodson has all of that confidence yet in Christian Lander to not turn the ball over with a high-intensity point guard on the opposite side of him.
Michael Durr, another question on a lot of fans' minds, but he's been kind of absent here of late. I have not heard any mention of any injury. Of course, it's not a surprise. Someone mentioned before he'd been dressed on the bench at times. So I'm not sure what's going on there because we haven't really heard a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing is just matchup, right? I mean, you've heard Mike Woodson talk about matchups all season long, and you heard him before the Purdue game. This is why they brought him in. And that's the biggest thing with him. You're going to see his minutes go all over the place just due to the fact that he can stretch a little bit and hit that free throw line extended jump shot. But he doesn't do a lot outside of that, offensively at least, right? He has been foul prone depending on the matchup. And that's why when the teams are smaller, you're not going to play him as much. He doesn't do as well in pick and roll defensive sets than maybe a Ray Thompson or a Trace Jackson Davis would. And you want to limit his minutes when you're going up against teams that have a lot more stretch forwards than true traditional postmen. That's when you obviously saw him play significant minutes. Regardless of the foul trouble or not, you were going to see significant minutes from him against Purdue. And you saw what he was able to do when you had one-dimensional big men. And so I think you're going to see him obviously have some sort of a role, regardless of what the foul trouble looks like against Illinois.
Jordan Geronimo, another guy that we've seen him have success against people much bigger than him. Luka Garza, Kofi Coburn's kind of a different animal than that. I'm not saying coming in, but he will be playing. I'm not sure what impact are you expecting from him in this game.
I think a huge one, and that goes back to, again, talking about Illinois having a lot of those versatile stretch fours that you probably won't see. Trace Jackson Davis be able to defend at times. You want Trace Jackson Davis to be matched up down in the paint, Race Thompson to be out on the perimeter, but you're still going to have obviously spot minutes there. And I think Jordan Geronimo is going to play a huge role, especially if Illinois decides to go a little bit bigger in terms of playing potentially two bigger guys on the floor, having him play more of kind of out on the perimeter to be able to switch off to any of those guards if they do decide to switch on screens, which I think they will at times, just due to the amount of ball handlers that Illinois will probably throw out on the floor. And his wingspan, his length, his athleticism is obviously going to make up for any sort of deficiency that he has in terms of potentially being a little too aggressive. But I think he's, every single game, Jordan Geronimo and Trey Galloway coming off the bench are going to play significant roles. It just is a matter of how long those minutes are and how many minutes they play. But no matter what, they're going to have a very specific and significant role going into each matchup because they are so versatile on the defensive end, and they can do a lot of different things for Indiana when it comes to switching, which Mike Woodson is going to want to do against a lot of these Big Ten teams if they do go for round one.
And something that I think is I don't want to call it the linchpin, but could be the surprise for this team taking a bigger jump toward the end of the season, maybe in the tournament, would be for Miller Kopp, Parker Stewart to do things that they haven't been doing this. And I'm not saying they're not doing anything, but the production from them has been really inconsistent. If they were to start producing and creating a fourth or fifth option for other teams to deal with, that will continue to make this Indiana team even much more dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest question there is what role does Miller Kopp really have in this offense right now? We haven't seen really any sort of positive offensive production from him since that Syracuse game when he went for a career high. In Big Ten games, he's really, really struggled, which I think is a surprise to a lot of people, just coming from a Big Ten school originally, right? I think a lot of people expected him to play a lot better than that, but only averaging about 4.5 points a game in Big Ten play. And that's, a guy who came in as, I don't want to say a specialist, but talking to him, obviously, in the transfer portal before he came over to Indiana, the biggest thing that reason why he chose Indiana is Mike Woodson saw him for more than just a shooter. A lot of people marked him as just a shooter, and when you're marked as just a shooter, you need to be able to obviously make shots, and that's one thing that he has not been able to do, and he has not shown the ability to create off of the dribble. Not to say that Parker Stewart has as much this year, but much better three-point shooter. He has obviously morphed into that role as a specialist in terms of being able to knock down almost any sort of three that he sees. But he's shown the ability in the past to be able to break down defenders off of the dribble at times. And you've seen that at times at IU this season, his ability to kind of get into the lane and be a little bit more aggressive attacking downhill. I think at the end of the day, it's going to come down to Parker Stewart and Indiana's ability to get him more shots and get him open more easily than kind of what he's been able to do at this point. I think Miller Kopp is what he is at this point just for this season. I think there's just not a lot of space for both of them on the floor at the same time, especially if Miller Kopp's not hitting shots. And so that goes into the question that we talked about a few weeks ago, if there would be any sort of lineup change, potentially to bring Miller Kopp off the bench or to move Parker Stewart, going to the bench to see if they can kind of create any sort of additional momentum for Miller Kopp here down the stretch.
Yeah, a lot of people, that's a big topic of conversation, but I don't know that we're going to see a change because you still have to have people come off of the bench, whether that's they've been moved into the starting lineup or you don't want an unbalanced rotation or you want to limit the balance of your rotations as much as possible. You don't want to give up.
And the biggest thing with that was obviously when Indiana starters were doing such a poor job of getting off to good starts in the first and second half. That was when a lot of that talk happened. Obviously, the bigger thing is who's going to finish those games. And you've heard Mike Woodson talk about that over and over again. And Miller Kopp right now is not going to be a guy who's going to finish games. So as long as those starting 5 do a good job of getting off to good starts, you're not going to see any sort of lineup change.
Absolutely. Hey, we've got more Alec sticking around with us. We're going to hear from Jalen Hudsofino when we come back. You're listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by our good friends at Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. You need a great deal, especially one that can get you around in the snow right now. They've got them. Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. We're back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurant.
Sports on television.
All right, I've got everything you asked for. I got Miller Kopp, I've got Trace, and the Hudsofino plus Angel Schifino audio only if you want that.
All right, Miller Kopp, you've got Trace, and then JHS and Angel. No, the first two are just clips, right? Just bam, boom.
The Miller Kopp and Trace?
Yep.
Yeah, they're about 25, 30 seconds apiece.
Perfect, because we can talk about both of those. And I'll
see
finish
Hummel's
that.
in the game?
Is he?
Yeah.
Great.
Who's coming in the game? Oh, Hummel, Robbie Hummel, yeah.
Damn it! I've wanted to have him on the show for so long. I mean, he's as good an analyst as the Big Ten BTN has, I think.
I think he's on ESPN now.
Yeah, I think he's tremendous. I really do. I know a lot of people
he's just naturally. Yeah. I don't give a crap where he came from. He is just natural at it, and I can't wait to get him on the show. He's very. You know,
you said he's very natural. I mean, everything comes easy to him. He just talks like he's talking in the middle of a huddle or in the locker room, which I think is great. You want to know that kind of stuff. And it's the people, and it's not over people's heads. It's it's like sitting down on the couch with a guy that makes you want to just shut up and listen to what he's saying. Seriously, that means a lot coming from you. There you go. Exactly. And I promise you, there are plenty of people that wouldn't shut up. Oh, you haven't gotten to see this yet, have you? Let me show Alec today. Oh, yeah. I mean, obviously, I saw the pictures, but yeah, that's
showing all of his guests.
The bruising. It's the bruising is scaring me. I'm like, okay, because I can't feel all of that. I'm just going to start preparing every time you go out of town for a new gym injury. Yeah, it seems like every time you do, something happens. Oh, that's not as much as I go out of town. That's not accurate. Well, no, not just injury, but just some kind of crazy story when you come back. Mishap.
Yeah, you're going to Chicago next week, right? So we'll see what happens there.
When is that game, man? Northwestern?
I think it's Tuesday.
The Northwestern one? Yeah, it's Tuesday at 9 Eastern.
See, now that sucks in and of itself. Not only you have a 9 o'clock game, it's a freaking road game.
Well, the next
right, here we go.
Get more to your door with AndyMooreHonda.com. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer.
Come see us at the all-new Andy Moore Honda, now in Bloomington.
This segment is brought to you by Remax Advanced Realty, Indy Home Pros team by Cheryl Sizemore. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurant.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio, coming to you on this Friday, Snowfield Friday. Alec Lasley from thehoosier.com joining me right now. Talking about Indiana taking on the Illini, the number 16 Illini tomorrow, as Indiana is playing pretty well as they played all season. They're minus Rob Finney. That hurts. They've had a week off, rest, relax, practice. That's got to be great in and of itself. To not have the pressure of having another game in 3 days that you've got to prepare for mentally and all that. Just the mental break has to be great right now for this team, Alec. It's just a perfect time for a break.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, you look back at the past 2 weeks, and it's been kind of nonstop. You had 3 games in a week. You had the emotional high of the Purdue win. You had the really deflating loss against Michigan, and then you come back with two really solid performances. 2 games that I think a lot of fans were really excited to kind of see how Indiana would respond, and came out of the gate obviously really well in both of those. So it's an important next step here. This is the crucial part of not that the Big Ten schedule is ever easy, but this is the difficult part and the meat of the Big Ten here, with Illinois obviously on the road against Northwestern, on the road against Michigan State, at home against Wisconsin, and then on the road against Ohio State. So it's a very difficult stretch for Indiana coming up, and they need to be ready to play for all of those games.
Yesterday, we were able to speak with Miller Kopp and Trace Jackson Davis as they both met with the media ahead of the game with Illinois this weekend. Let's hear from Miller Kopp and hear what he had to say.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great opportunity, really. I mean, you could look at it, 2 ways, whether it's, it's a tough stretch, we just got to get through it, or, it's a great opportunity to, move up the ranks in the, in the league, which is what we want to do. So really it just comes down to, for me personally, just staying focused and making sure everybody's locked in and, focused on, each game that's right in front of us, and, making sure that we're doing everything we need to be ready to win when we play. And
that's what he's got to do, is being locked in. He just needs to stay focused on creating his role. And that's the thing about Xavier Johnson. He, his role was probably wider. He thought it was wider than what it really is. He's been able to rein that in and really, excel in what he's doing. But Miller talking about that as well. Very smart player. He doesn't make a ton of mistakes. Everyone say, well, he's not doing this, but he's not. He doesn't hurt this team at all. He is a solid player to have in there, and you need players to give you solid minutes, period, no matter what they're doing. Trace Jackson Davis also met with the media yesterday. Let's hear from Trace.
Most definitely. Kofi's a great player. Obviously, last night he had a great game. I was surprised Wisconsin didn't double him. That was a little weird to me. But there's certain things that he likes to do that we're going to take away from him. We're going to throw different bigs at him. Hopefully I can use my quickness and my athleticism to try and slow him down. So it'll be a big game. But it's going to be a big game, not only for me, but for my teammates as well, because Illinois in general, they're shooting the ball really well from the 3 as well. So especially with Plummer and Fraser. So they got a lot of key pieces that we got to slow down, but he's probably the biggest factor.
Trace Jackson Davis acknowledging the full gamut of the Illinois arsenal. And that's a job. You have to relish that job coming into a game. That you're going to take that on. You've got to just embrace it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think he does that. I think he did that a little bit too much against Purdue. And that's why you saw him obviously struggle there with a little bit too much energy. It'll be important for him to reel it in, because he can get into foul trouble in the past. We've seen that against more physical and physically demanding big men. Not to say that he's not physical. He just needs to reel in that energy and know when to kind of pick his spots. A shot blocker like him, who has not so much struggled to defend on the ball, but he's a much better off-ball defender than he is on the ball, and that's where he seems to get into foul trouble a little bit more frequently. So for him, it's just about reeling in that energy and making sure that he's smart and picks his spots and knows that, like you said, there's probably going to be some sort of double team. Probably won't be the same spot every single time. They'll probably drop down one of the guards, bring over one of the weak side players, maybe double from the high post if there's someone up there. So there's going to be a lot of help for him, and he just needs to realize that it's, like you said, a lot of bodies going to be thrown at him. He doesn't need to solely take on that responsibility of defending Kofi.
So we're looking forward to that. Tipping off tomorrow noon on ESPN. So that should be a great battle. Switching gears a little bit. Speaking of the future for next year, point guard play, Jalen Hudsofino, one of the absolute best in the country. Had the opportunity to go down and watch him play last weekend, talk to his mom. But he's another player that is already that mindset, man. They're used to these. The games that I watched him play, especially the last one, was already a high energy tournament type game. It went to overtime. It was won on a buzzer beater by one of his teammates, and he had dealt with an ankle injury that last game. The first night in the tournament, he has 26 points. So this is a guy that can score, that can facilitate, that has the thing that I saw, Alec, was his vision of the floor. He has tremendous vision, and he just seems like he is paying attention to everything at all times. It's like he's able to look both ways all the time, makes great passes, can get to the rim. He's 6'5". He's strong. He has to get stronger. Of course, they all do, but it's not like he's a skinny kid. He's not, but that would be the difference between him and Xavier Johnson right now. Xavier Johnson is just older, stronger. When you see him getting to the rim, and that's the difference that I'm talking about. Just a little more strength, but man, what a tremendous player he's going to be for Indiana.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that the biggest thing with him is playing a lot more off the ball when he was a lot younger, but still having that great vision. Now he's morphed a lot more into a true point guard. And that's the thing that he talked most about, was he's a point guard first and then a scorer second. He can score, though, with the best of the guards in the country, and that's the best thing about him, is he has so much versatility and so many good spots of his game that he can score shooting the three. He can score on and off the ball. He has tremendous vision, like you said. The one thing that we haven't even talked about is his ability to move without the ball, and that goes back to, if you have a point guard, most point guards don't move great without the ball. I think you look at Steph Curry as the one outlier there, just because he's such a tremendous shooter and he knows how to use screens. That's exactly what Jalen Hudsofino can do, is move without the ball, and he never takes any sort of cut off. He cuts aggressively every single time, and that allows him to get a lot of open buckets at the rim, because he's just solely focused on taking every play at a time and spending 100% of his energy on every single play, even if he is moving without the ball, which a lot of people, especially in high school, don't do any sort of time.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because that's one of the things I noticed when I was down there, and I think I sent a tweet out about that. Watching him, always constantly moving. It's just him constantly. He's constantly aware of what's going on, and he's involved in the play, whether it's on or off the ball. So looking forward to him wearing that Indiana uniform, watching him, because he is just and mentally he's just. The situations aren't too big for him. Like I said, he's used to these big situations. His mom played for West Virginia. His uncle Drew Schifino played at West Virginia. So he's at Montverde. The starting five on his team right now are going to Indiana, Duke, Kentucky, Florida, and Texas. That's what he's used to playing against and with every day. So let's hear from Jalen, as I got to talk to him last week. Jalen, talk about playing in tournaments like this tonight. You come to Montverde, one of the places where you can do that, how that continues to prepare you for going to the next level.
Yeah, playing in big tournaments is, big time. At the high school level, you're playing against, some of the best players in the country, best teams, some of the best coaches. So it definitely prepares you for college. And, next year I think I'll be ready.
Talk about your performance tonight. What did you like, not like?
I feel like I came out aggressive. I got downhill, which I feel like I'm the best at. I got downhill, found my teammates, rebounded a little bit, defended well. And, some of the things probably just, as a team, I feel like we could have defended better.
Running the point, you always have the ball in your hands. You're responsible for keeping the offense flowing. But I noticed you're really active without the ball.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I'm a point guard at heart, but, kind of with, the way I get downhill and stuff, Coach Boyle sometimes wants to get me off the ball because I can, kind of really score the ball. So, tonight was one of them nights where he kind of had Sky, on the ball and kind of had me off the ball, and I finished with 26. So.
And it was a great night against a really good team. You guys were able to pull away late. Tight game throughout the first half. But what was the difference for you guys?
Yeah, they were a good team, real scrappy, played hard, but I feel like we just, dominated. I feel like we were the better team. I knew, going into this, I know we practiced really hard, so we were definitely ready.
Have you been watching Indiana play?
Of course.
Well, how are those games? What have you been learning from them?
I've been enjoying it, just, watching. I'll be there next year, so, this summer. But, just, watching, trying to learn the system, trying to just learn some of the guys' games and just, watching them play.
And Mike Woodson, what have you seen from him?
Really good coach. They're doing good this year. He's turning the program around, and I definitely can't wait to get there.
There you go. Jalen Hudsofino. And as I talked about it, I mentioned to him that I was watching him off the ball. You just see that he's a complete player, man. And he's concerned with improving his game and being an integral part of the team because he's smart enough to know that that's how it has to be. But the program he's coming from demands that. There are no individuals down there. Like I just told you, they're going to those schools I just listed. They're all superstars. So you really probably learn to play within the concept of a team more so in that situation than a normal high school situation when you're probably the star.
No, 100%. You have to. I mean, you look at Hudsofino's averaging 12, 5, and 6 roughly this season. He could be averaging 22, 24, 25 points a game anywhere else in the country. But the fact that he is all about development, all about learning from the best in the country. Another conversation, that you had with him later in the weekend was about kind of working with Sky Clark, getting him back into the lineup. And obviously a guy who has missed a lot of the last 6 to 8 months with an ACL injury in Sky Clark, 5-star point guard going to Kentucky, getting him back in the lineup, 2 guys who really do a tremendous job with the ball in their hands. But the biggest thing that he said in his connection and chemistry with him was because they're such hard workers. They get in the gym every morning. Not that this is anything different than what other players are doing, but the fact that he loves that competition, the fact that he loves to learn from any player that he's playing alongside should just show fans that one, he never settles for anything less than what he thinks he can get, which is getting to the NBA, being an all NBA type player. But he wants to play team basketball. He wants to do anything to make the team better. And one thing that I thought was interesting that in talking with him is he always mentions the defensive side of the ball, the defensive end of the floor. He wants to be a tremendous defender, and he prides himself in being that go-to defensive stopper on the opposite end of the floor, taking on the opposing team's best player. And you see that on the floor. You see that in how he works. You see that competitive nature in the way that he talks. And just a very mature kid, and something that you've mentioned multiple times, even going back to Tamar Bates being down at IMG Academy, is these kids grow up very, very quickly when they're in these big time academies because they run it almost like a professional organization. You're on the road a lot. You're taking intense schedules when it comes to classes and obviously workouts. And the biggest thing with him is that maturity, which you don't see a lot from incoming freshmen, but something physically and mentally that he already has up on the competition going into the next year here.
Absolutely. We'll hear more from Jalen Hood a little bit later. Zach Osterman's going to join us next too. So thanks a lot, brother. I appreciate it. Looking forward to the game this weekend. It should be a great one.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll talk soon.
Thanks a lot. Alec Lasley from thehoosier.com joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by Remax Realty. If you're looking for a home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore's 2 decades of experience. Could be the difference in you getting the home you want or not. Reach out to her, Cheryl at IndyHomePros.com. Hey, we're back to the snow-covered golf club at Eagle Point Studios with Zach Osterman from the Indy Star right after this.
We'll be right back to the golf club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurant.
Start for New York. Hey, Zach, how are you, brother?
Hey.
John, I knew that I would have ran that segment too long if I called for that, so
it's fine.
Did not
really.
So, but
today.
We could probably run it in this segment.
Yeah, if you don't, I mean, as long as Zach doesn't mind, it's almost 4 minutes.
It's actually good stuff for Zach to see too.
Perfect. I would.
It's with Jalen Hoods. It's with Jalen Hudsofino. It's non-Illinois related, but
gotcha.
Yeah, just call for it whenever you want. I would say do it either at the beginning or towards the
Yeah, I was going
end.
to say do it at the beginning, get that out of the way, and then switch over to
There
the
you go.
Illinois. Hey, it stopped snowing. The sun's actually up. It was snowing to beat the band a minute ago. What'd y'all end up with, Zach?
I don't know, probably about 5 inches.
Seriously?
Yeah, that'd be my guess.
Wow, we got like 10, 11.
Yeah, no, it wasn't that. I mean, I shoveled last night.
I don't know.
I guess I haven't shoveled this morning, so I don't know if it's. I mean, I shoveled some when I shoveled my driveway last night. It's probably about 5 inches.
I don't know why. Down here on the lake, I don't know if that had anything to do with it. It didn't stop. Fake lake effect snowfall.
I'm gonna go grab a hat. I'll be right back.
The good thing about down here in Louisville is that we hardly ever get enough where I have to shovel. That saves me a lot of time in the morning. I just hope I don't slide directly down my driveway trying to get out.
Yeah, let's start. Let's do the clip right off the bat and get that.
Perfect. Yep. And then you can talk with him a little bit about it and then head into Indiana, Illinois.
Yeah.
And then whenever we post the Hudsofino stuff on YouTube, do you want them in 2 separate clips or do you want them combined?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Separate.
Sounds good.
How's the little one?
Oh, go ahead.
He's good.
Is that the birthday party you're all talking about celebrating on the other day or is it yours?
No, my birthday's tomorrow.
Okay. Happy birthday. Oh, happy birthday.
All right, here we go.
Max Advanced Realty at Cheryl@IndyHomePros.com or 317-298-0961. Cheryl Sizemore from Remax Advanced Realty. Let Cheryl Sizemore get you in the home you want today. Cheryl@IndyHomePros.com. Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry.
Now back to the golf club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurant.
Welcome back. It is Friday here at Indiana Sports Beat Radio, the golf club at Eagle Point Studios. Indy star Zach Osterman joins us now. Zach, how are you, brother?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm thawed out and just sitting here watching the snow out there. And I have no plans to go out and get in it. Just going to wait till tomorrow.
I think just at some point.
Well, you've got the youngest, the newest baby. How old is your other child? 2?
He's almost 4.
4. So is probably the real first snowfall.
We had some last year, but I mean, he's definitely new to really enjoying it.
Did he get out and get to play in it and enjoy it and have fun?
Oh yeah, and I think we're going back out later this morning too. So the fun doesn't stop.
As long as he doesn't turn you into a snowman, that would be a little frigid. We were talking about before you joined Jalen Hudsofino. I had a chance to visit with him last weekend, and he's just a kid that's going to add to what we see Mike Woodson has going right now. Just a kid that's mature and comes from one of those programs that just breeds maturity. And it's just his vision on the court. He's not as strong as someone will say Xavier Johnson, because Xavier Johnson's older and just more strength. But man, to watch guys like that, talking about Jalen Hudsofino, it's unique to see them at that age have that vision, have the maturity, that level of play. But it is something that this Indiana team is going to welcome fervently next year.
Anymore in college basketball, you just guys got to be able to handle the ball, and they've got to, and that when you say that, I think people think that means they've got to be able to dribble through a double team or bring the ball up the floor. I mean, I'm talking about run high-low game. I'm talking about, run. I mean, watch any NBA game. Like, people will know I'm a Hawks fan, and obviously Trae Young is a Hawks point guard. But even on the first line, the Hawks will run high-low stuff for Bogi Bogdanovic. They'll run it for Kevin Huerter. Obviously, you get to the second level or the second line, you got DeLon Wright, you've got Lou Williams, and then you've got guys that can run the rim really, really well, like Clint Capella, like John Collins. Now, obviously, we're talking about an NBA team, but my point is, if you're going to run a system that is as sort of reliant from a playmaking perspective on, high ball screens, on pick and roll actions and things like that, guards have to be able to either A, hit threes, or B, run those actions. Be the guard initiating those actions. And you don't necessarily have to do it all the time. You don't have to be the only one that does it. You don't have to be the primary one that does it, but you have to be able to do it. And I think you have seen, if you kind of break down Mike Woodson's recruiting, the guys that have committed specifically to him, I think Tamar Bates can do that. He's struggled a little bit this year. I think he'd tell you he's struggled, but I think he's got that in his locker. Obviously, Xavier Johnson, we know. And I'm just talking about the guys that Woodson recruited specifically. Gabe Cupps, of course, is kind of a natural point guard. And Ja'Kai Newton, even, I know he plays on a team down in Georgia that's got several high major prospects. Sometimes he's a league guard. Sometimes he's more of kind of a wing, but he can do that too. And then Jalen Hudsofino, as you talk about, there's a clear sort of pattern of the guards need to be able to do this, or they need to be able to hit threes, or ideally both. And if you go look at the way that Gonzaga plays, if you go look at the way Baylor plays, you can say this one guy's a point guard, but the reality is that 2 or 3 guys on the floor at any given time can get you into your offense. And, Hudsofino looks like he fits that bill for Indiana pretty quickly. Obviously, advanced for his age and the level that he's at. He looks like he can be that for Indiana at a fairly early stage in his career once he gets to college.
Yeah, go back and read Zach's stuff. I remember maybe it was 2 weeks ago. I think you had articles on I think you've seen all of those kids play down there. You mentioned those Georgia recruits.
I went down in December and watched them play. Yeah.
And there's nothing like actually getting to see them in person to see what they can do. Jalen Hudsofino was one that I got to see last week and talk to him afterwards. Let's hear what he had to say about his game in Indiana.
Jalen, a heck of a weekend capped off by an unbelievable finish tonight against a heck of a team. You guys struggled early on, but you came back and did whatever you had to do to win. What was it that caused the struggles early on?
Like you said, they were a good team. I feel like the first half we definitely struggled to defend a little bit. We didn't rebound the ball as well. So as far as, that, I feel like the second half we came out, we competed hard. We knew, we couldn't lose this game, especially at home. For the seniors, it was our last home game. So, we stepped it up big. I went down, tweaked my ankle a little bit. So guys stepped up really, really big, and we came out with a big time win. So it was good.
Sky Clark, you had to integrate him back into the offense, another point guard like yourself. How has that been? Obviously tonight it was great having both of you in there, but how has that been putting it back together?
It's been good. Like you say, he's another, good point guard. Me and him are really similar in different ways. Like, me and him bond well off the court because, we're like really hard workers. So, we're always in the gym in the morning before school, getting up shots and everything, building that chemistry. I go to his house sometimes. So, me and him have a good chemistry. And on the court, I can play on the ball, he can play on the ball, I can play off the ball, like whatever. So, we just kind of find that balance. We kind of play off each other. And, I think it's been working out well.
How's your game improved over last year? What are you looking to take to Bloomington with you?
Honestly, I got better at everything, quicker, faster, stronger. My IQ of the game's gotten better, my shot, still getting downhill. So honestly, everything, I'm getting better every day. I stay in the gym and, from playing against, the best competition every day in practice, the schedule we play, games, I think I'll be ready, in conference.
Have you been following Indiana, watching their games? I know it's hard with you doing your own thing as they're going on, but I've been able to watch any of their games here recently.
Yeah, definitely. I try to keep up and watch every game. If I don't watch, I'm keeping up with it on the ESPN app or whatever. So talking to the coaches and everything, and keeping up with them. So I'll be ready next year.
The staff, talking to them, how's the communication going with those guys?
It's been good. They're in season, we're in season, so I talk to them every other day. They just always send me their encouraging words, tell me to keep working and everything, and they can't wait for me to get there.
What are they? Is there anyone particular on the staff that you talk to, and what are they telling you to help with your game?
I talked to Coach Woodson, Coach Yah, Coach Kenya Hunter. They just tell me to keep doing what I'm doing, keep leading the guys, and next year when I come in, just to be ready. Well, they know I'll be ready. So.
Derek and KJ, two teammates here, also being recruited by Indiana. Have you thought about the potential possibility of playing in college with high school teammates?
They're both younger guys. Derek Queen's a sophomore, KJ's a junior. So I definitely talk to him a lot. Tell him, definitely come. I usually a good program. So KJ, I think he's able to visit now. So hopefully I can get him whenever I get up there to take a visit. So that'll kind of encourage him to come a little bit.
Well, he said it was cold in Indiana. I noticed that.
He'll be all right. He's from the DMV, so he'll be good. He'll get cold up there, up north.
What are you looking forward to going up to Bloomington?
Everything, really, just the environment. When I went on my visits, the fans were crazy, showed a lot of love and everything. And obviously, just to, get around, the guys, the coaching staff. I'm going to be ready for day one. I'm excited.
Besides playing here at Montverde, going forward until you get to Bloomington, what will you be doing until you get up there?
Just grinding, getting better every day, watching a lot of film. Like I said, I watch Indiana a lot, kind of, see how they play, see how I'm going to be ready and everything, but just grinding every day, working on my game.
And speaking of their game, what have you seen with Mike Woodson's offense and the defense? The defense has been atrocious against other teams. They're killing them. But what have you seen from their style of play that you like?
He lets his players play. They've been playing pretty fast this year, getting the ball out and everything. And as far as defense, they've been defending the ball well, and that's something I think I could do pretty good.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
There's Jalen Hudsofino talking about just a myriad of different things as he prepares to come up to Bloomington next year. But they're just, those guys are just a level up, Zach. The experience that they have, and that has it takes the it flattens the learning curve a lot, I'd have to say.
I don't think there's any doubt that it does, and I mean I think it's as much just kind of the environment as I mean, I know people like to talk about the competition and things like that, but it's, there's so much that goes into being as we both know, there's so much that goes into being a college athlete that not that doesn't have anything to do with the game, but like that you will never see really reflected in a game. And the better you can prepare yourself for that environment, practice, class, putting time management in your own hands. I mean, that's, I think, one of the biggest adjustments for any kid going to college.
I still struggle with it. What are you talking about?
I do think it gets guys more ready as long as you're in a good situation, as long as you're in, good structured, and I think he pretty clearly is. No, go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, absolutely. Moving forward, tomorrow, Indiana taking on the Illini, number 16, Illinois. Obviously, a gigantic game for Indiana in the sense of this would give them a third big win and would cement them, to me, in that whatever level you want to call it, but in that level of Big Ten teams that is just separate from the rest of the league. I think they've already done it personally, but they probably need this win since they let the one at Wisconsin get away, although they have other opportunities coming. Speaking of Wisconsin, they'll be coming here. They've got a game against Michigan State. So they've got everyone that's ahead of them in the standings. They have a game against the rest of the year. So they'll have multiple opportunities to do that, but they're the only ranked team that's not ranked in that group. But I think that's maybe hangover over the last 4 years. But if they're not in that group, man, oh man, they've got 1 foot in it.
Yeah, I mean, it is, and listen, some things can, come apart or come back together. I think, for example, when you look at Michigan, Ken Pom rates them having the lowest conference strength of schedule in the Big Ten. So they're only 11-8 right now. They're 5-4 in the conference, but it's not hard to see a world where if they can kind of clear this this stretch where they play Purdue twice in their next 3 games, they can put a little something together. 3 of their last 4 are at home. They got, I think, one game to be rearranged, maybe 2. I think it's just the 1. I think they've already made up one of the 2 they missed. But for the moment, there is kind of this clear separation of kind of the 6 at the top, and then, the trailing pack. There's, I would say of that trailing pack, Iowa and Michigan are probably still kind of in the bubble conversation. Rutgers can get there. I'm not sure they're really there right now. But yeah, I think Indiana is pretty clearly more, if you are kind of asking where do these teams fit, for the moment anyway, Indiana looks a lot more like that top 6, or a lot like the 5 in front of them than maybe the 3 or 4 behind them. A win like this, yes, I think it would cement it. Obviously, it would, it'd be a big notch in the belt for the NCAA tournament resume. If you're Mike Woodson at some level, I still don't really think there's a world where Indiana gets seriously involved in a Big Ten title race. But, if you're Mike Woodson, I mean, there is an extent to which you look at your players if you win tomorrow and you say, fellas, if we just finished off one of the 3 games that, we were either leading at halftime or right there in the mixer in the last 5 minutes on the road, we'd basically be playing for a share of first place tomorrow. Not quite, because Michigan State's also got a game that, Michigan State's kind of a game behind everybody else. But I think he could have that. I think that message would go over if he just said we'd literally be playing for, in effect, a share of first place if we could have just found a way in any one of these 3 games. But I think you got to win this game first. And I think that this is kind of one of those, I talked about this on our podcast, weeks like last week where Indiana really just kind of makes no fuss about beating teams it should beat, are important because good seasons are made up largely of games no one will ever remember. Games that aren't, when I say special, I mean games that aren't memorable, games that aren't ranked matchups. It's not ESPN, it's not primetime, whatever. But you take care of those and you make it so you don't have to work too hard to win those, so that you can really prime yourself for games like this. You put yourself in position for games like this to matter, and for games like this to be more of an opportunity than a danger. In the last 2 or 3 years, when Indiana's gotten to games like this, we've said, boy, they really can't afford to lose this one. That this is an opportunity to wipe away some bad losses, or to finally get a quality win, or whatever. They can't afford to lose this game. Indiana, in theory, can afford to lose this game and still be in good NCAA tournament position. But it's more that they've given themselves an opportunity. When you win, when you beat Minnesota at home, Penn State at home, you sweep Nebraska, you beat Maryland on the road, that gives you the opportunity that gives you a chance to look at Illinois as an opportunity, and not as a must win, a must have, but something that, hey, if we go and win this, it's just another boost. And then you go on to Northwestern and you say, can we just repeat the Maryland performance again? And then you can go to Michigan State and it's kind of a free hit. And then you get Wisconsin at home, and all of a sudden it's post Valentine's Day and everything's real. And maybe you are in the Big Ten title conversation, but you only get to do all that if you find a way to win this game. I think there's some ways that the matchups favor Indiana in this game. I think there's some ways they don't. It's going to be a fascinating 2 hours, because I think this is going to be really, in a lot of ways, kind of a more than the average. I know this sounds weird. I think this is kind of going to be a game decided by how the coaches adjust and who gets those sort of in-game tweaks and responses right.
I can't disagree with you, man. It's going to be an action-packed game. I'm looking forward to it. Noon tomorrow on ESPN from the Simon Scott Assembly Hall. Zach Osterman from the Indy Star, I can't thank you enough, man. Everyone make sure they wish Zach a happy birthday. Tomorrow is his birthday, so happy birthday, Zach Osterman.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me, as always.
Thank you, brother. We'll be back with more. The Greek is going to join us next here on Indiana Sports Beat, brought to you by our good friends down in Sellersburg, Reynolds Family Dentistry. You need that championship smile. Go see Dr. J. He'll give it to you. We're back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after this.
We'll be right back to the golf club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurant.
Whether it's a celebration, you need to get a song made that's his own intro. The Greek, welcome in the Greek.
Yeah,
there was the Greek. Yeah. What The Wire? You ever watch The Wire?
You know, I don't know why. I watched a couple episodes. It never grabbed me. So no, it's not my thing.
God,
I know.
I've watched it twice.
People love it. Yeah.
There's a character
in my mind
called
it'd be
the
more
Greek.
like the Rocky Balboa.
There's a character called the Greek.
I like that. There was a movie, Get Him to the Greek, which kind of sucked.
that was kind of, I don't know, it was kind of funny.
It was amusing.
From whatever you can expect from what's his name?
That's the short fat guy. I can't think of his name.
No, not Jonah Hill. The other dude.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
That was married to Katy Perry.
Oh,
he's English.
Russell Brand.
Yeah, Russell Brand.
I'm a fan of Russell Brand now.
What I got to get to the bloody Greek on time for?
Yeah.
He's got as much about a British. I mean, his accent is as British as British. It's pretty British.
Very, very British.
He's pretty funny though. I mean, he cracks me up.
Oh yeah, he's a card. Okay, so we got our basketball talk out, right? So we'll just talk football here.
We can talk whatever. Talk whatever. What the hell?
Talk Super Bowl since you didn't have Matt Taylor.
Oh yes.
I could talk a little Super Bowl.
Well,
but what about like the Harbaugh stuff? That's pretty.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh yeah, of course. Forgot about Harbaugh.
Was
he ever going anywhere? I wonder.
I mean, I got a take on it. I've been checking with a couple of my Michigan buddies and insiders, and I mean, it's pretty interesting.
What about the stuff, and this might be old news now, but I didn't follow it very closely. The stuff with Kirk Ferentz from a few weeks ago. Wasn't there something issue with him?
I missed that.
Issue? Yeah, here's the issue. He helped start a committee to help with racial harmony in the program. And after a year and a half, the committee's like, yeah, this looks good. And then most of the guys on the committee weren't even actively being a part of the meetings anymore because they're like, it's fine. We have nothing to add. This coaching staff that is 60% black and the football team that's 60% black, they seem to have control over the situation. There's not much we needed, except for one committee member who's going through a nasty divorce and has not much going on in his life, and he took it to attack. Okay, I'm not going to talk about that stuff. I'll be honest with you. That's
Come see us at the all-new Andy Moore Honda, now in Bloomington.
This segment is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
Now back to the golf club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurant.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer. I wish somebody would deliver that to me today because I'm going nowhere, baby. I'm going nowhere, Greek. Jeffrey,
I know it's early, but a burger sounds pretty good right now, actually.
Oh, I'm telling you. Well, the funny thing is, I have pretty good sized window here and I can look out. And just when I started the show, it was still snowing to beat the band. Yeah. And I look out now, I can barely see a cloud. The sun is out reflecting off of all the icicles hanging off of the overhang. So I guess it's time to afterwards go out and shovel some stinking snow. I didn't touch it yesterday. It's a lot out there too. I'm like, and then underneath of it is a nice good layer of ice. So
that's the sneaky thing about actually being further up north, like I am, and I'm in the northern metro of Minnesota. Is we don't get a lot of ice. We pretty much just get snow, and then you start going further south. I'll take snow over ice any day.
All day long. Yesterday, we knew it was coming. It snowed all day, and then so yesterday evening, I was not going to attempt to go out. Not that I cared to go out. I was not, but luckily where I live, there's a clubhouse up there, but it's still close to a damn mile walk by the time you walk it. So I'm like, well, everybody, a group of us had talked about going up. Hey, let's just come up and hang out, and we ended up playing poker. But I busted my ass twice walking up there.
Be an athlete.
And I was being careful with the rubber, and it didn't matter. It's that ice is just underneath it, man. You hit the wrong. It's like it happened so quick. It was like bam, and I'm like, wow. The quickness is so everybody be careful out there. But hopefully that sun, it's not going to melt jack because it's not getting above freezing. What y'all didn't get? So y'all didn't get anything out, did you, in Iowa?
What do you mean
from this storm?
They got some snow in. Like I said, I'm in Minnesota. We didn't get touched. We're just getting a dusting here this morning, but we're almost done with it.
Now, how dumb is that? Minnesota gets nothing, and we get pummeled.
Again,
you're within shouting distance of Santa Claus.
Yeah, but it's there's no lake effect here. A lot of the snow that you get from the coast and Michigan stuff like that is lake effect stuff. We have 10,000 lakes, but none of them are big enough to make the lake effect. So a lot of times it's just flat out too cold to snow here. So that's okay.
Man, NFL football coming down to a conclusion as we have nothing but the Super Bowl left. Trade talks, quarterbacks movements. Tebow asks, is Jimmy Garoppolo be the next Steelers? The Steelers need a quarterback. The Colts can't do it. I don't think the Colts can do anything, although they desperately need a quarterback. But yeah, the Steelers, they got to have a franchise guy. They need a new franchise guy.
Perhaps, and perhaps a playoff team that the Steelers were last year just need a little boost, like perhaps a boost from a quarterback that's been used to playing in the cold weather for the past 15 years, and Aaron Rodgers. I don't know. I could see that happening.
Yeah. Oh, how perfect of a fit would that be for him? Probably. And I would guess that the city of Pittsburgh would do handstands to have Aaron Rodgers come in as Big Ben's replacement.
I mean, if you could figure out a situation to draft the future but have Aaron Rodgers for the next 2 years, I would think most Steeler fans would take that pretty quick.
What's going on your way? What you been enjoying the playoffs?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I am a college football guy through and through, but I am a football person. I mean, it all started just with the sport of football, watching my older brothers play high school football, which led into college. So watching those NFL playoffs, the Elite Eight, if you will, all four of those games were amazing.
Was that the best? From that point forward in the playoffs? I don't know. I cannot remember in my lifetime that entire group of games being that damn good and that entertaining and that riveting.
Yeah, my podcast partner, Big Kurt of the Eyes on Big podcast, please give us a listen anytime. He made the statement that it wasn't just the greatest weekend of NFL football, it was the greatest weekend of football ever. And when you factor in two things, number one, like you talked about how great the games were. And then on top of that, it's the playoffs. Literally every play counts. It's tough to beat. It was incredible.
Yeah, it was. Now though, that puts a lot of pressure on this Super Bowl to live up to that. But Joe Burrow, Joe Cool. I mean, how does the dude? I don't understand how he is so relaxed.
I mean, I hear people complaining about the matchup, I guess, because there's not a quote unquote marquee. Just be quiet. Like, is anybody happy about anything ever? Like, it's great to have two teams in that maybe we're not used to. I mean, certainly with the Bengals and the Rams. Am I a Rams fan? No, but I'm cheering for Stafford. Am I a Bengals fan? Maybe a little bit. I've got memories a little bit, Boomer Esiason when I was a little tyke and whatnot. So
there's a lot of Bengals fans coming up for the Super Bowl just because they're the underdog, man. They're a mid-market team. Mid-market teams, Kansas City kind of changed that.
Right.
The NFL is kind of unique because they only have the 32 teams, but yet mid-market teams can still reach the promised land. Kansas City done it, and Cincinnati now does it.
I mean, they're all working off the same 53-man roster and salary cap. So I don't really understand if your mid-market team has the ability to make the salary. I don't really know how big of a difference it is. It's all about moves by the general manager and obviously the head coach. So, and right now, like calling Cincinnati the underdog, I wouldn't call Joe Burrow the underdog but call Joe Burrow an underdog at your own risk, I guess is what I'd say.
Yeah, he looked like an underdog in getting all the way to the Super Bowl, didn't he?
Right.
He seems to know what he's doing. Looking forward to it. What else has been going on with you, man?
Yeah, just working through the winter. I know we talked about off the air a little bit, but I have found to bridge the gap between the NFL and college. We've got Jim Harbaugh, who, was rumored for about 5 different NFL teams, including most, seemed to be the hottest rumor was the team right in town here, the Minnesota Vikings. Pretty fun stuff to watch. Long story short, he on Tuesday afternoon and night, I mean, all of Twitter and different media outlets reporting that it's a done deal that Jim Harbaugh is going to be the next head coach. I'm hearing from Michigan fans and DMs on Twitter that said it's gone. He's gone, which I always found weird because it was already known that he wasn't doing his interview with Minnesota until Wednesday. So I wasn't sure how there was a deal in place, and it was a done deal when the interview hadn't happened yet. Come to find out, the interview happened. Whether Jim Harbaugh turned them down or they turned Harbaugh down, I'm not sure. But then it was over right after that interview that nope, I'm coming back to Michigan, and now Harbaugh, aka Khaki Pants, he's back in the fold. I asked the question on Twitter if they even make purple khaki pants. I don't know. Never even sure if that got confirmed or not. But I tell you what, man. For any media people or fans that get tired of coaches saying the same stuff, giving the same canned answers, kind of having the same canned personality, that ain't our guy Harbs. And any Ohio State fans, probably a ton of Hoosier fans. My guess is, hate. Or just very much do not like, hate's a strong word, but very much do not like Harbaugh. I don't know, as an Iowa fan and somebody that isn't a Michigan fan for sure, but maybe just doesn't loathe Michigan, I get a kick out of the guy. I mean, he is a true character in
I do too.
Big Ten.
I think he's funny. He is always must-see TV at Big Ten football media days. Him and Ryan Day are going to join to command the largest crowds, but mainly because you don't know what the hell Harbaugh's going to say.
No, I don't know.
And if you ask him a question, he'll answer it. And I mean, he'll answer it kind of truthfully, if you know what I'm saying. Less coach speak and more Harbaugh speak.
Bingo. I'm not as old as Harbaugh, but as I advance later on in life, I love a dude that calls the shots and does it his own way. I respect it. So you got to say that about Harbaugh. Harbaugh going to do what Harbaugh going to do. I mean, I think he is not happy, how things went down in the last, let's say 18 months or so at Michigan, how he got treated. A lot of that friction to me seems to be between him and Ward Emanuel, the Michigan president, but they played together at Michigan. I mean, they were teammates. Now I can attest, not everybody on a 100+ number football team are best friends. I can assure you of that. So just because they played together doesn't mean they were buddies. but they seem
and they could have developed a bad relationship back then. Who knows?
For sure. Or since he's been at Michigan, I mean, we don't know, but there seems to be a different vision of what is wanted between those two, or between Michigan, or between Harbaugh and the athletic department in general. But like I read an article, I mean, there is a lot of things that Harbaugh asked for and got, right? Getting recruiting satellite camps down by IMG, taking trips to Italy and South Africa. I mean, they paid him off all of that stuff. And then one more last time here where Jim Harbaugh says, yeah, I think I'm just going to go interview. I'd like to go back to the NFL. And he seems to be a dude that can make up his mind in one direction at the drop of a hat, and then just change his mind and go back in the direction he just came from at the drop of a hat again. I mean, that's just how that dude rolls.
I wonder, though, if this was more about the 18 months that you said. It was just all, I wonder if it was more about that and an effort to get back what they took from him and then some. And, I said yesterday, he could have just threw him the birds and rode off and said, later, won my Big Ten title, see ya. But he didn't. He's coming back. I don't think he didn't want to do that to his recruits. I believe that. I mean, I think he's a good dude overall. I mean, I'm sure people, I'll dislike him for the Michigan aspect of it, but I'm sure that if I were a Michigan fan, I'd probably like him. There's no reason not to. I mean, you want a brash guy as long as he wins, he wins.
Yeah. I mean, you want to.
It's not like he wasn't winning. He just wasn't beating Ohio State. That was the thing that was kicking his ass.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if Jim Harbaugh is a good guy or not. He's an entertaining guy for sure. My guess is if me or you or a lot of other people sat down and had a glass of bourbon with him, or maybe it'd be a glass of milk. I don't know if that guy even drinks alcohol. I think that's how he rolls. We'd probably have a good time. But I think like you mentioned that he wanted to do it for recruits. I don't know. I mean, I think Jim Harbaugh wanted to do what Jim Harbaugh wanted to do for him. But it just so happens that I think in this instance, him coming back to Michigan is good for Michigan. But it has been interesting watching Michigan.
It's good for the Big Ten.
I think so too. I mean, right as we have a budding, rivalry between Day and Harbaugh, let's not drive away from that. I don't think it's going to be another 10-year war, like we had with Woody and Bo. I don't know if we're ever going to see that again, but even a 3-year war would be pretty cool.
And the fact of the Big Ten is probably most likely going to dissolve the divisions, which should have happened a long time ago. But I don't know when that's going to happen. So before we get on that, we'll take a break, but because I want to talk about that, because that's an interesting change for this league that we've all talked about, because everyone talked about the Big Ten East, not you all talk about the Big Ten West because you think
whoa. We talk about just want to make sure your listeners understand. We talk about
I'm kidding. I'm back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jeffrey the Greek right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurant.
Whether it's a celebration, how in the hell are they going to schedule now, though? The thing is, the scheduling was easy as pie for them.
It'll be about the same. It won't be that much different. I know your beef, Jeff, is with the excuse me, the Ohio State, Michigan.
It's one of the biggest ones, among others. I mean, we'll talk about it again. I'm not completely against it. My whole thing is the talking points that people are using are so dumb. Like the only fan base, and we'll talk about it in the segment, the only fan base that really wants this. You guys want to take a guess who this is going to benefit the most?
You're going to say Michigan.
No, I'm going to say Ohio State. This is going to benefit Ohio State.
Well, yeah, because it's right. Because when you're in something like the East and you lose to somebody like Michigan, but you're still the second best team in the Big Ten, you get screwed.
So now Ohio State this past year, guess who would have been in the Big Ten championship?
Exactly.
Ohio State, and now they get what? Am I?
No, I'm just laughing. I'm just laughing how ironic it all is.
Like everybody's like, that's not going to happen. I'm like, it just fucking happened last fucking year. It's never going to fucking it fucking just happened. If we had everything was the same, we would have had a rematch of Ohio State, Michigan, and then Ohio State would have got a chance to play Michigan on a
Good luck, John.
Indoors. Like, Jesus.
Hey, I don't have to edit this out for the radio, so I'm good.
You don't? Well, I know that.
Yeah. Well, obviously, I'm not going to swear on the segment. But,
do you all swear on the podcast?
Every now, we very rarely an F-bomb, and then we bleep that out. But shit and piss and I don't know, stuff like that.
See, John, the only time I usually can hold it in, but Dustin, I think he was pissed about the playoff rankings one time, and he just let it loose one day.
Oh, I love spicy shit, getting mad.
Oh, that's got to be a segment next year. Spicy Shooty.
Love it.
Jeffrey the Greek, absolutely.
Yep.
Spicy Shooty.
Yeah, but no, let's talk about the schedule stuff. It's obviously compelling conversation. We had a whole segment on the last podcast.
Da-da-da-da.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and bring us back in from break.
Hey, this is John, the producer with Indiana Sports Beat Radio. We're now a part of the Rivals Network. TheHoosier.com is where you can find complete coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and plenty more. Simply go to TheHoosier.com and sign up. It's free. You can also find full episodes of Indiana Sports Beat Radio on the homepage or on the station every week, Monday through Friday. If we're not on a station where you live, we should be. Ask for Indiana Sports Beat Radio. This segment is brought to you by Aurora Specialty Sleep Clinic. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurant.
Welcome back. Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Coming to you on this Friday as we end the week. Jeffrey the Greek is with me. In the break, we were very calmly talking about the potential ending of divisions for football in the Big Ten. I'm glad to see it just because it has been so disproportionate. But it's going to bring other problems that the scheduling right off the bat, scheduling before was pretty easy because you just worried about the division and threw some others in. And now, how are they going to equitably be able? There's no way you can equitably schedule into the future either. So I don't know. Does it help? Does it not help? I'll be honest with you. I don't know.
So the first thing I want to ask is you stated as fact that a disproportionate between the two divisions. This is a conversation. What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that?
It is the overall perception of most that Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan State's kind of come back, but they lost for a while. But those four teams were so strong. They had not just a lock. Well, the West has never won the Big Ten since the advent.
Right. Ever. So the Big Ten championship, I'm speaking on fact here, right? The Big Ten championship is obviously the number one thing to look at. The West has never beat the East. Okay. But there's two things I want to point out. As far as the two divisions playing each other in season, I mean, the East has dominated the West to the tune of they've won 52% of the games. Okay. So we are 2% away from it being an even split down the middle when the East and West play. Okay. You just erroneously, I'm sorry, but listed out Ohio State, Michigan State, and Penn State as being leaps and bounds over everybody in the West.
No, that's not what I said.
Okay, but that's what you are implying. That is what you are implying.
I said perceptually, those teams, those 4 teams are just strong every year. Over in the West, you've got Wisconsin, you've got Iowa, very, very traditional, that are also strong year in, year out. Minnesota has come on of late, but they don't have this 4-team string of teams that have just been there.
Here's what I would say. Iowa and Wisconsin, comparatively speaking, very similar since the division split to Michigan and Penn State. Then you have Michigan State, who has popped back up after being down, which sounds a lot like Minnesota. Those teams.
No, Minnesota, you can't get Minnesota is not compared to what Michigan State was, though, even before they went down and came back up.
Wisconsin has been better consistently than Penn State or Michigan. Wisconsin.
I'll give you that.
So there's what I'm saying is the jockeying between teams 2, 3, and 4. If you just look at what we have to go off of, which is the win-loss record and head-to-head, it is almost dead nuts on. The difference between the 2 divisions are thus. The bottom of the East has been awful compared to the West, and then Ohio State on the top is obviously the king. If you switch Ohio State over to the West and you take a team like Purdue and put them over into the East, now the West has won predominantly all the Big Ten championships because it's Ohio State winning them. The only team from the East that has won one has been Michigan State, which won a last-second game over Iowa, and Penn State, which won a last-second game over Wisconsin. All of the domination has happened by Ohio State. If there's anything that I just said that you believe is incorrect, please show me where it's wrong, but that's the facts. That is what's going on. So now we switch to the divisions. Okay. Here is a couple of my bold takes, and I don't think they're bold. I think they're going to be proven to be correct over time. If we get away from the divisions, okay, and we just have one big conference, all right, the number 1 team that is going to benefit from this is the Ohio State Buckeyes. Their fans love it and are clamoring for it because they should be. And people say, well, why is that? Well, essentially how the Big Ten East is when Ohio State has lost the division, it's basically come down to a 1-game playoff game, essentially, which has been either Michigan last year or Penn State in the past. Otherwise, they've beaten everybody, okay? Now, once they lose that game, they need, like when they lost to Penn State, okay, like 4 or 5 years ago, the Saquon year, whenever that was. When they lost to Penn State, they needed to have Penn State lose twice in order for them to get back into the Big Ten championship. That is no longer there. People are like, well, when is this going to happen? It just happened in 2021. If we had the same records of these teams and you theoretically could have every team playing the exact same schedule that they played last year in the Big Ten, okay, if you went to a non-division format, Ohio State would have finished second and got a rematch with Michigan 1 week after playing Michigan. And now they get Michigan inside a dome on a fast track out of the snow like they played before. And let's say it's not crazy to think, I guarantee you they would have been an 8 to 10 point favorite in the Big Ten championship right after losing to Michigan. They mollywop them, go to the college football playoffs or onto the Rose Bowl, whatever it would have been. And then what was that regular season win by Michigan over Ohio State worth? Jack squat. That's what it would have been worth. And so if anything that I just said is crazy, please call me out. But I'm going to tell you one thing. The Michigan fans and Penn State fans and Michigan State fans that are clamoring for this right now have better come to realize that they have to beat Ohio State most of the time, twice in one season to win a Big Ten championship. So if they complain 3 years from now when they lose that type of game, it's fallen on deaf ears with me and my podcast partner, I'll tell you that much, because they don't know what they're talking about.
Well, and of course, you have understandably have been watching the West and you hear this stuff and I'm sure they get tired of hearing it, but they've yet to win a championship. And the East has had 3 different programs to do that. I know Ohio State is the juggernaut and you almost, they're so much to the point where you almost have to remove them because they've been at a level where no one else in the conference has really been. they're an anomaly even in the East. But Michigan is the other team. Penn State's the other team. They were able to climb that mountain and do that. And the West has had opportunity after opportunity, and we're not able to do it against whether it was Penn State, whether it was Michigan, whether it was Ohio State. They've still not been able to climb that mountain.
The Big Ten West has more wins in the last 6 seasons over Ohio State than the Big Ten East.
But when it counts?
When it counts, what? It does a regular season Big Ten.
No, I'm just championship. The championship.
Purdue and Ohio State, or Purdue and Iowa, had beat Ohio State more, and I take that back. It was going into the Michigan game. At that point, I believe the West had 3 wins over Ohio State, and the East had 2. And I'd like to point out they play Ohio State a lot less than the East. All right. Here's my call. Okay.
And that would sound like that would bode better for the West as well to do this.
And you could make that argument. What I'm going to say is this. This is crazy. Watch this. When you look, okay, let's say we switch divisions. Okay. You got me on record. Any one of your listeners, Jim, John, anybody can call me out on this. Okay. If we switch, let's say we switch, the announcement comes out next week that, starting in 2022, there's no 2022, there's no divisions. Watch what I'm saying here. Go back the last 8 years of the divisions. Okay. And then look forward to the next 8 years to 2030. I bet you the records of the teams will look almost identical in the next 8 years as they had the past 8 years. Iowa's always going to wind up being an 8-4, 9-3, 10-2 team. Same with Wisconsin, same with Michigan, same with Penn State, and Ohio State is going to dominate the Big Ten. Hardly anything is going to change. Rutgers and Illinois and they're not going to get. It's not going to help their chances to get into the Big Ten championship. It's not going to really hurt them either. Okay, like it's going to look about the exact same moving forward. So we will have proven nothing other than it will eliminate the Big Ten West, just bitching and whining, which honestly at this point I'm all here for. And then it will bolster up Ohio State to get in, which is ultimately why the Big Ten wants to do this, because they don't want to lose their shining jewel getting into the college football playoffs. They are going to do whatever they can to prop the best team up to get into the college football playoff, which is exactly what the SEC is doing. So they have sold this like altruistic, we're doing this for the health of the league. BS. They're doing this for the health of the top team in the Big Ten, which is 95% of the time going to be Ohio State.
If they also make the change to 12 playoff teams, which I don't know that's going to happen anytime soon now, that changes this conversation too. That almost makes it, I don't want to say it doesn't matter who cares. It does. You're still Big Ten champion, but it takes a hell of a lot of stress off of whether it's teams in the West or it's Michigan, Penn State. They still have a shot to make the college football playoffs, even if they lose to Ohio State or even if they're not in the Big Ten championship.
Again, this doesn't make any sense. So let's say an 11-0 Michigan and an 11-0 Ohio State meet at the end of November. Ohio State wins in a stunner right now, okay? They go into the Big Ten championship and beat the team from the West to finish 13-0. Michigan, therefore, is sitting there at 11-1. That resume right there for Michigan will be enough to get them into the college football playoff if there's 12 or especially 16 teams. So I have no idea how that's going to make any bit of difference. It's going to be about the same. In fact, I feel like I could even make a statement to say it could hurt a team like that more, because you could have, an 11 or a 10-1 Michigan playing an Ohio State team, win that game, but then get beat by Ohio State in the Big Ten championship, finish with 2 losses, and get kicked out of the playoffs.
I'm not sure that they're even going to go to 12. Not anytime soon.
I
mean, and it's funny, the ACC, the team that needs it the most, one of the worst football conferences in the country, now all of a sudden has changed their mind. Oh, no, we don't want to do that, which makes zero sense.
The Pac-12 needs it the most because they've been locked up in the playoffs every year since 2014. The other conference that's going to need it the most is the new Big 12. You know, the Oklahoma and Texas-less Big 12. They're basically a glorified AAC. So they're going to need it the most. The Big 10, the SEC really don't need it. The SEC has been in every freaking playoff, obviously, and the Big 10's the second behind them.
Do you limit? Man, we're almost out of time. I can't believe it's been fun. Do you limit the number of teams from a conference? Specifically, I'm going to be talking about the SEC. Who's going to have? What are they going to have? 28 teams in their conference after Texas and
Right.
Oklahoma joins.
I mean, I want automatic qualifiers so that you know your conference can get in, and I want the first round of games to be on campus. That much I know. I am adamant about. So I feel like as long as we get that much, how the chips fall after that is probably something we can all deal with.
Man, it's been another fun one as always. Good to see you. It's been a minute. I hope that things are going good for you up north. We got a lot more snow than you. I can't believe that. We've got more snow than you. But brother, it's always fun. Have a great weekend. Look, next week we'll get to have fun previewing the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
We'll be focusing on the big game. I'm sorry, the big game. The big game.
The big game.
Yeah, We're not allowed to say that, right? We're not allowed to say the.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I can't remember. I don't know the rule. It's so dumb. Hey, thanks a lot for everybody. Thanks thanks to Jeffrey the Greek, of course. We always get to end with a big old bang, having fun on Friday, and I can't imagine having any more fun. Zach Osterman from the Indy Star, Alec Lasley from the Hoosier.com, of course, John, the producer. Most importantly, thanks to you guys. Without you all, we've got no point to be here, man. We'd just be sitting here talking to ourselves, and no one wants to hear that, right? What's coming up next for you, Jeff?
Well, we're still doing our team grades for podcasts, so we'll keep ripping those out.
Make sure you give him a follow. Eyes on Big 10 podcast with Big Kurt. We got to get Big Kurt on here. Maybe Big Kurt maybe next week for the Super Bowl, we get Spicy Shooty and Big Kurt.
Well, that might be a little too much grumpiness for people to handle. I don't know.
I can't. Hey, man, I hope you guys go out and either stay in, stay warm, whatever. Have a great day. Indiana, Illinois tomorrow. We'll be there taking care of that for you as well. Until then, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.